Hi, Morgan.
Hey, Valerie.
Good to see you. Always a delight. Um, uh, I am so grateful that we get to play together on this journey. Our work in the world is so aligned. Could you share a little bit about how our paths crossed and how you dove into the journey of discovering, uncovering, and healing PSD?
It is so magical. It is so magical. I got your book, Our Paths Cross. So um, I turned 40 in December, and I knew it was going to be a big year. And I decided my word for this year is thriving.
Mm.
And by the magic of the breadcrumbs, I heard of your book. And I had booked myself a 4-day birthday private retreat, just a staycation, it's in my town, and just a little time to be alone. And I brought your book with me.
Mm.
And it was just after, about a week after I actually had turned 40. And this copy in particular is very special to me because in the very back it says the date was December 13th, which is my birthday. And this puppy was actually printed.
Just for you.
Yep, in 2019. It's crazy. So that was very serendipitous. Very
Mhm.
serendipitous. And then, I mean, there's so many underlines, so many dog-eared, so many bookmarks. So there was something very special. There's something very special in this work for me, but then also your spirit, your soul, your vibration as a woman. I could feel it. And I put this in my journal. I said, I'm looking for mentors and I want Dr. Valerie Rain to be one of my mentors this year.
Oh,
I don't think I told you that before, did I?
no, no, this is the first time I'm hearing this, that you put this in your journal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
So
I'm
I guess
so
I'm pretty good at manifesting things.
I'm so good. Yeah,
Getting
and
better
you
all
rock,
the
and you rock at manifesting things. It's a beautiful thing. I actually heard it from somebody else who is in the Thriving Solution now, who also wrote it in her journal that it was her desire, and she's in the program now.
time.
So we got to journey together through the Thriving Solution. We've had opportunities to work a little bit one-on-one. Could you share what what was it at that threshold for you? What was it at the threshold? You just turned 40 and you were feeling something. You were feeling and desiring some things and seeing some things that perhaps you wanted to shift, or you wanted to reach for. What was your experience at this threshold that pulled you forward into the rabbit hole of healing PSD?
Yeah, it was a deep desire and also an inner fear. So that crossroads of I wanted to break through the invisible barrier. I could feel it. It was so present for me for the past, say, 40 years. It was that silent thing, and I never had a name for it. And so now I had a name for it, and it was just like along with my desire that I'm not going to wait anymore for someone to come rescue me. I'm a big girl. I'm a woman now, and I'm going to start acting like a woman and really start um, giving myself the support that I was afraid to give myself before, which is in the circles of women, mentors in
Mm-hmm.
particular. And the reason why I was so afraid is that I literally had just come out of a traumatizing experience of investing 5 figures into my business. The first time I had ever invested that much into business coaches who could not see me.
I remember you sharing that at the time when we first spoke.
And it was a really
Mm.
vulnerable place to be because I was so open-handed and so done, like just striving without real financial growth and really knowing I didn't want to keep on this hamster wheel of struggle and hustle. And so, I put it on a credit card, this investment into my business. And a few months into working, it was just such a heartbreaking realization that they don't get me. They don't, they're pushing me down something that doesn't feel authentic. And they're trying, yeah, it just was so out of alignment. And so um it was this like, I can't afford to take this risk again. Literally, my kids didn't get Christmas gifts this past Christmas because it was like, this is where we're at. and 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 so it was this real coming to terms with like my family's life. My kids are 8 and 13. It's like I only have a handful of years left with them. It is time for me to heal that trauma inside, the upper limit trauma, that fear of being as self-expressed and as big in the world that I really desire to be, and to make that level of impact on women. Because I've been working
Yes.
with women for years, been working as a coach and a mentor, and yet I was also terrified of greater visibility, of success. And that was holding my kids back and holding me back. And so it was like go time. And also I was terrified of making another mistake of investing in the wrong.
Yeah.
And so for me, that wrestling with the desire and the fear, and the work I had to do was I had to trust myself and trust what I felt in my gut. And so the one-on-one work we did together before even the Thriving Solution, I got that hit that there was a match here. You could see me. And that's everything in a mentor, like a mentor who can see you, who can hold all of who you are, who can mirror back for you what you're capable of. And you did that for me. And so one of the fun things, it's like, and I remember you even told me, like, you're going to look back on this one day, this experience with the business coaches that was a horrible experience, and you're going to be grateful for it, because they were actually pushing me down a pigeonhole that it wasn't an exact fit. And they were saying I should charge X amount, whereas after one call with you, you could see me in my fullness, and you inspired me to charge more, and really to charge the value of the transformation, and to really trust that. And it was everything that you could see that in me. And you said, yeah, this is the number instead of that old number. And so I went with that. And because of that, I 4x my monthly revenue. Yeah. Game changing
Wow.
for my family.
Wow, I'm letting that sink in, and how fast that happened for you.
Yeah. And it's that witnessing, that power of mirroring. And then, of course, there's work to be done inside that. But we never can underestimate that power of when a woman sees you, when she believes in you, and you can see yourself in her mirror. And that's what you gave me. So you gave my family.
Mm, I'm so grateful, Morgan. I'm so
Well,
grateful.
moving into thriving and getting out of survival mode into thriving, and that's what I'm doing this year. And I never thought it was possible, like honestly, after all the work, to really move into this level of thriving. I really am grateful for you just being able to hold space for me and mirror for me what's possible.
Yeah, I'm so delighted that this is how we got to play together. And I know that in terms of your trajectory and your growth, this is just the beginning, right, of shedding those overimposed patriarchal limitations on those filters that were dictating how you see yourself, and the value of what you bring to the world, and how much money you're allowed to have, and the lifestyle that you're allowed to have, and how, like, you got to struggle, right? That's the message that we get. You got to work hard, you got to struggle, got to sweat. And if it happens easily and you're in the flow, it's like it's not real, and you don't deserve it, and you can't have it. So by trailblazing this new path, you're literally an embodiment of what's possible for women. And of course, we all continue to grow in that. I continue to grow in that, as you know, every day too. And I'm wondering, going through the Thriving Solution program, and um, playing with other women on this journey, using the tools, working with our crew, with me and Jeffrey and Haley. What have been some of the active ingredients of that have been helpful for you, that have been supportive of your shifts?
So much. Like, for one, I'll say for everyone who has read your book, like that's just the tip of the iceberg for all that you teach and all that's available to receive from your work. Like, I thought this was in and of itself, your book, transformational, but there's so much more when you step inside the circle. And when you start using the tools, and it's one thing to understand and read about the tools, it's another thing to be practicing them. And we actually need accountability around that. We actually need a community around that to hold us accountable and to just, it's really, we can't underestimate the importance of support. And so a lot of what just the experience of inside the Thriving Solution, it's the simple things, but because I put it into practice, because of our weekly meetings, it's made a huge shift. Like something as simple
Yeah.
as asking the question, how much of this emotion is mine? Or how much of this emotion, how much space does it need? Does it really want? And just being able to play with emotion. I've been working with
Mm-hmm.
emotion for years and really helping women understand emotion as their superpower and feeling safe and connected in the felt sense around that. But this opened up for me a whole new world to play in with emotion, to even just ask the question, how much of this is mine? How much room would this emotion like to have if it could have in as much space as it would like? And so that's something I'm now using every day.
Mm. And you have done a lot of work on your healing journey. You've been a teacher and transformational mentor, healing guide for
Yeah.
years. So this is, I want to make sure that this comes through our conversation, because there may be this either false closure or perhaps giving up that we hit on this personal growth journey. I know that happened for me because I had been in therapy for years and read every self-help book I could get my hands on, attended every workshop I could drag myself to. And my conclusion was, okay, well, first of all, I already worked through my issues, because years in therapy, right? How could I have not? And perhaps I was just so broken beyond fixing. And if everything I've done hasn't already worked for me, nothing was going to work for me. And I see that in the women who get their hands on PSD, Patriarchy Stress Disorder book, and they're flirting with an idea of doing deeper work, but they're in this place of either not believing that something would work for them because they've done it all, or feeling like, okay, I've done it all and I'm okay, like it's good enough, that's as good as it gets. Do you have any insights to share?
Wow. There's something super powerful about Alive being present with women, even virtually. If we can just be engaging with these ideas, these practices, our emotions, our resistance. And this is where the action is. This is where the fastest growth comes, really. Like, as this is what I facilitate for my clients and what I will always put myself in for myself, because I
Yeah.
know there's more. I don't believe that we ever arrive. I feel that there is so much richness to life, and we get to continue asking the question, how good can it get? How free can I be?
Mm.
So there's this, yeah, and I definitely can relate to the feeling of, I've tried everything and I ended up back here again, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, frozen in fear. And how I've come to work with that, because I've also cycled through that frozen feeling again, even though I've done this trauma work. But now I have the tools to move through it faster. And
Yeah.
so I don't identify with it. It used to be my story. I was depressed. I was, I lived in this frozen feeling of shutdown, and I had to withdraw. And now I know when it comes, there are tools to use. And I may not choose to use them that day, but I know someone I can go talk to on Tuesdays for the thriving solution, so it's just that level of the holding that makes such a difference when you're not alone and you're with other women who are also experiencing the resistance and the healing around the trauma that then causes contraction, the expansion contraction. It's alive.
Yeah.
Be in a group where you are welcome to be alive through the process. That's everything.
Yeah.
The fastest transformation happens.
Thank you for sharing that. And as you know, I'm on my healing journey too, and I always seek mentors and communities who can see my bigness of that next step where I'm stretching, who can hold a bigger space for
Yes.
that, and and create that feeling of it's possible and it's safe, and here is how. So
Oh,
so
the best.
yeah,
The
so
biggest
we're all
gift.
doing this for each other, right, on this journey.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much power in that, just the audio visual communication of I get you, I see you, you are welcome here in your fullness, your bigness is welcome, there's more for you. I mean, that's so powerful.
Mm,
That's what if you stopped at the book or the podcast that you would be depriving yourself of. And there really is so much more to embody. We
yeah.
can get things in our mind pretty well, pretty quickly, but to move it down to here and then to move it even deeper to our full body, to our honeypots, all the way down to our pelvic bowl, like all of this
Ah,
work, it takes time. It takes time
mm,
to integrate.
mm. And there was something that you and I also talked about in terms of direct transmission. Do you want to speak to that? How do you experience that in this work, in working with me and working in this program?
Yeah. Well, I'm of the belief that it's a woman's presence that's her highest ministry. It's literally her vibration.
Love it.
Like this is, and we've all felt it, I think, when we're in circles with a woman who is embodied, who is integrated, and there is a grace about her, a peace about her, a confidence about her that opens something up in us. It gives us permission. And that's what I experience with you. And I have been in this world a long time. I've had a lot of different teachers and mentors, and I've done a lot of different programs. But this is something that's rare. This is what I aspire to give as a coach and as a mentor, and what I look for as well in a mentor and a coach is a woman who has done the work so deeply that there is that gift of darshan. There is that transmission that happens, and it's beautiful because so much gets communicated in the unconscious realms. There's so much more getting communicated right now than what we could possibly be aware of, and that is doing something. Your
Mm.
presence did something in me. It rearranged what's possible on a quantum level, and that was your presence. Your teaching is amazing, and your curriculum and your practices and your all of it. This is what no one can emulate or replace, is your presence, Dr. Valerie Rain. So every woman who gets to work with you is gifted your darshan, that
Mm.
trans.
I'm gonna grab a tissue here. And thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm taking that into my body as best I can. It continues to be a growth edge, receiving, right? Receiving praise, receiving all the goodness, receiving the fruits of the work that we do in the world. That's a growth edge for every woman on this journey I know. And the more we can receive, then
Yeah.
the more we can receive. Because unless we receive what's being offered us, then we're all, there's indigestion. We can't receive anymore. We can't take in anymore. So I'm doing my best to practice what I preach here. And yeah, feeling gratitude. And also,
Let me just say this, so you can just let this sink in a little bit deeper.
okay.
What you're doing is really appropriate for the work of dismantling the patriarchy. It fits in line. It's like the presence that you give, the darshan that you give, and I really feel this is what's going to separate this next generation of leaders and teachers. We're past the age of the guru who knows
Mm,
everything and you have to sit at their feet and learn from them. The more powerful feminine energy of everyone is in the circle, we're learning from each other. There's no higher or lower. There is this witnessing and mirroring of the feminine and the gifting. That's like what you're giving women by your presence, by you stepping into that place. And it's what's next as far as leadership goes. I really do feel we got to be integrated. The insides and the outsides have to match if we're going to lead other people. And so
mm.
that's what you've done, and that's what you're doing, and it's part of dismantling the patriarchy.
Thank you. I am so delighted to hear that that's the spirit with which I approach this work.
Mhm.
Create quality. That I am not higher or lower than anybody who's on this journey. We're all on this journey together. And something comes through that I can share, channel from my experiences, and we all bring our experiences to this big potluck and learning from each other, and it's so precious. So I'm so glad that this is exactly how you're experiencing that. And I wanted to throw in some new neuroscience in the mix because now we know, or is that neuroscience or is that quantum physics? And that's quantum physics I wanted to throw in the mix.
Like it's
And
also connected, right?
right, and what we now know is that reality actually doesn't exist without an observer, and the reality is shaped by how it's being observed. And I know you do work in helping women heal their gaze and how they see themselves, which is very anti-patriarchal, how they see themselves, how they see each other. And so being in the community where everybody sees your bigness and reflects it back to you from the point of view of the validation of quantum physics, that's exactly how what supports this new reality into being possible, into being here, the reality of making big leaps in your business, or and not or and taking your personal happiness, satisfaction, pleasure, connection to a new level that makes it all possible.
Yes, yes, yes. It's huge.
What's shifted in terms of what you feel is possible for you?
Mm. I feel it is possible to charge the level of the transformation, something really basic, something really but big for a business owner,
Yeah,
especially for women working in the healing arts or the inner world, where my background is evangelical Christianity, where this inner healing should be free, and that
yeah.
mindset of wanting everyone to receive the healing, the freedom, and feeling bad about charging was really kept me back from being able to care for my family, and really being able to kept me back from thriving, because I would be so burnt out from the work, and I love the work so much. And so it seems small, but it's not small.
Well, what
The
can you give from a place of burnout and being exhausted and spent?
Yeah, and so now what becomes possible for me because of this work with you is I can now get excited about a future of creating bigger and bigger impact in the world without a fear of success. Because
Mm.
before I was terrified of success because I thought it would cost me my presence with my kids. And now I know I can charge the level of the transformation. I can make my business something that's really pleasurable and sustainable, and because of asking that question and being able to trust myself, how good can it get? and really, really living in that space on all fronts, not just one. I'm into wholeness. I'm a feminine wholeness coach. And so that is really important to me, is to create sustainability in my business, a wholeness in my business that reflects like what's the wholeness in here. And so those two things of not being afraid of success, I can create bigger impact in the world without costing my presence with my family, because I won't be overworked. I'm allowed to charge the level of the transformation, which has been a huge, huge gift that you've given me.
Mm, I'm so honored. And because of all the work you've already done before starting working with me in our programs, your trajectory was pretty much instantaneous. And I just want to comment that your work has to do with reclamation of that wholeness,
Mm.
sexuality, pleasure, connection with yourself and with your partner. So I imagine you already had it going on in this area. You were already playing the game of how good can it get, and then other areas began to also
Yes.
catch up, right?
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. So here is to how good can it get, right, Morgan?
Yes. And I cannot wait to keep discovering that, to keep
Mm.
leaning in and to be surprised, to allow myself to be surprised. How good can it get? That's what I'm looking forward to. I can't wait to just blow my mind, blow my own mind with how good my life can get.
Woohoo!
My
And
kids'
so,
life, my husband's life, and all the women that I coach, and that's
yeah.
a beautiful ripple effect.
Witnessing, celebrating, and affirming your intention into being, Morgan. So it is. And so it is something even better.
Thank you.
Thank you.